Alright, hey there everybody. What we're going to do today is compare the RCBS ChargeMaster Lite up against the newer Frankford Arsenal Intellidropper. Both these scales run for about the same amount of money, give or take 20 bucks maybe, depending on, where you're getting them at. And they're sort of kind of similar in size. First impressions, the RCBS is a little bit smaller. Both dispensers are pushed all the way up against my wall, and the Intellidropper is roughly about 12 and a half, maybe 12 and a quarter inches from the wall. The ChargeMaster is more like 10 and a half. So roughly 2 inches, shorter or lengthwise. Width, the Intellidropper is about 5 3/4. The ChargeMaster Lite is closer to 5, maybe 5 1/16, something like that. So, as far as the height goes, they're so close that it's not worth even mentioning. So yeah, there's that. Both dispensers have similar covers that can both be put on when the pan is on the platform. So that's kind of nice. So I'm going to go ahead and take those off. I sort of like this style better than the older ChargeMasters where it had the little swinging hinge or whatever. I think this is a little simpler. So let's move in here for a little bit of a closer look. All right. One of the unique features about the Intellidropper is it has this powder calibration setting. And what it'll do is it'll go through a little test while it dispenses powder at various rates and speeds. And I think it just kind of figures out about how much powder will dispense per rotation of the tube or something like that. And then it will start dispensing accordingly to that. Which is pretty cool, and it does make a tremendous difference on the speed that it dispenses. So first things first. Later we're going to see how accurately they throw too. I've got a beam scale set up over here, but let's go through the calibration settings real quick. Most of the time this bores people out of their minds, but I'll just in case you're really wondering. On the RC, I am going to use my old calibration weights from my ChargeMaster Lite for the Intellidropper as well, because it only requires 50-gram weights. Reason being is because I think that would be a more fair comparison between the two as far as judging their accuracy, if you're using the same check weights between both. So I'm just trying to get a little picky with it there. Let me make sure I don't have these things set to do anything. Okay, so I'm going to zero out the ChargeMaster Lite. Now I'm going to hit the cal button. It says 0 right now. It's stable. I'm going to hit the cal button again. It's going to ask for a 50-gram weight. So I'm going to put this right in the center. Wait for it stable. Hit cal. Now it wants 100. So there's another one over here. And these little platforms are so tiny. It's annoying to try to get those things kind of centered on the platform. It says stable. There we go. But surprisingly enough, if you take the one check weight off, even though that one is so far to the right side of the platform, it still only reads 50 grams. So that's kind of cool. Okay, let's move over here to the Intellidropper. All right, zero it out. It says 0. Hit just the regular cal button. And now it says 50. The instructions said it was supposed to flash 50. I have never seen that yet on this machine. And I have powered it off and back on once. So, who knows? Alright, anyway, it says target 50. So we set, or it just says 50 on the display. Set the 50-gram weight up there. It says stable. So then you hit cal again. Now it wants 100. Now for sure, the Intellidropper has no problem at all getting both weights flat on the platform. Now it reads stable, so I'm going to hit calibrate again. And there it says pass. It even lets you know it passed. Congratulations, Intellidropper. You passed the test. Okay. So there's that. The pans they send with the Intellidropper, they're okay, I've got another older pan that I like to use on these things better, but for the sake of comparison, I'm going to show you the pans that they actually send you with the dispensers. Now let's just zero those out really easily. Zero there. Zero here. Okay, the powder we're going to be dispensing is IMR 4895. The reason being was I already had some of that in the ChargeMaster Lite, and I didn't feel like having to drain that out and then put more powder in both of them. So both dispensers have about the same amount of powder in them, so that should be pretty consistent. So let's run one or two passes here. We'll just stay in manual mode for right now. Okay, there we go. And just to kind of give you an idea how the Intellidropper throws before you do the powder cow feature. And I'll put a stopwatch here and you can kind of see which one finishes first. Let's throw 44 grains just because that's probably a pretty happy medium charge for a lot of people if you're loading 6.5 Creedmoor, 308, 30-06, anything around there. So let's tell them to go. Notice how the ChargeMaster just immediately starts. The ChargeMaster Lite really does good as far as this is the amount of time it takes to get to the point that it trickles. But the trickling of the ChargeMaster is what's just so agonizingly slow on the ChargeMaster Lite, that is. Okay, ChargeMaster Lite is finished and it has a much more pronounced beep. As you can see, the Intellidropper's beep is extremely more quiet than the ChargeMaster Lite. So if you like listening to your music a little louder when you're reloading or watching TV or something like that, that may be an issue as far as hearing it. Okay. Oh, and I didn't even think to look myself at the time, but I'm sure you were. Let's do that one more time. Now this is just bone stock, no powder cow. Oh, that one took off anyway. Let's just cancel that. I thought I had it set to do this manually anyway. I can change that. Manual. Okay. Let's do this again. Intellidropper beat it about 26 seconds. And now around 30 seconds for the ChargeMaster Lite. Okay, now let's do something that the ChargeMaster Lite cannot do. Let's use the powder cow setting for... I thought a kernel of powder fell out on there earlier. Let's do the powder cow thing for the Intellidropper. So all I'm going to do is hit powder cow. Now it's going to do this little series of dispensing here. We've heard it run on that speed already. We've heard it run on that speed, but you're getting ready to hear a speed that it hadn't run. That one. That is actually a lot louder than you might believe. But I think what it's doing right now is just dispensing powder for however many seconds, and then it reads how much weight it just dispensed in that amount of time of running the dispenser tube at that particular speed, which is pretty clever. Okay, it just chirped. That means it's done. It has been calibrated for this particular powder now, so this is going to make a difference in the dispensing speed of this. So I'm going to change the mode to auto now. I'm going to change this mode to auto. Let's go back to our same, well, it's ready to go. It may. Man, auto. let's see. Yeah, it wants to go just as soon as I'll just tell it to go like this. 44 here. And let's go. Oh, sorry. We'll do that again. I'm not, even though I've had the ChargeMaster Lite this much longer, I'm still not exactly sure sometimes when you're trying to put them up head to head against one or the other. Alright, about 24 seconds on the Intellidropper. And 40 and 30, what, 3 or so on the ChargeMaster Lite. Let's do it again, and this time I shouldn't have to do anything but set the pans down. So let's go. Notice how much faster the ChargeMaster starts. It does that every time, and it impresses me how fast it gets to the weight that it starts trickling. You know, it would be awesome if RCBS would give you the option to like change the trickle speed on this one just a little bit, because it's really quick on getting to the, let's see, about 25 seconds. The Intellidropper made it. 36 seconds or so on the ChargeMaster. Even though it gets the early start, I mean, the Intellidropper is beating it by about 10 seconds-ish or so on finishing. So let's do this again. All right. See, I mean, it had 35 grains in the pan before the Intellidropper decided to go. And I don't know why that is. Both machines had been on for at least an hour each. So they ought to be pretty warmed up and everything. All right, 28 seconds or so for the Intellidropper. About 43 seconds for the ChargeMaster. Let's do one more. Then we'll start comparing the accuracy. See, I go ahead and start the stopwatch just as soon as I take my hands off the pan, because in the real world, that's, you know, when the time really starts. When you take your hand off the powder pan, that's when you want powder to start going in it. And a lot of people I'll see on YouTube, when they're doing these comparisons, they'll wait until the machine actually starts running. Well, you know, that's all fine and dandy, but you know, just like you saw with the ChargeMaster, how much quicker it starts, you know, I think that plays a big factor in, you know, in the amount of time it takes for these things to dispense a powder, or dispense a charge. Sorry, here we go again. Again, 25 or so grains are in the pan before the Intellidropper even starts dispensing. Now this time the Intellidropper looked like it's doing a little bit better. I do like how it does that. Like, it'll just go ahead and dispense out a pretty good little chunk. So 27 seconds or so that time. But it had and the ChargeMaster Lite was, what, 33-ish? So it really makes a big to-do about throwing an overcharge there. Notice the ChargeMaster Lite has not done that yet. Alright, one more time. I won't talk on this one. 22 seconds. About 27 or 8-ish seconds on the ChargeMaster Lite. So there we go. Okay, now for what I usually do, let me reposition the camera here a little bit. The end all for me when it comes to accurately weighing powder charges for my setup is a beam scale. So I have a beam scale right here. It's one of the newer RCBS, one of their M500s, or yeah, that's what it's called. Anyway, and I've got a little webcam sitting here on a little block, and I've got it running to my Chromebook, so that way you guys can see a little bit better of what's going on here. I'll try to get my camera in here as best I can and leave enough room for me to get in. Okay, what I'm going to do right here is I've got a little set of these Lyman check weights. So I'm going, right there is, each of the big ones are 20 grains each, and these two-sided sticks represent 2 grains each. So right there would be a total of 44. So I'm going to put these in this pan. Alright, I'll set it in the scale there. I got the scale set for 44. Alright, let's show you what we're working with here. I might be able to, yeah, even zoom in here a little bit. Okay, there you have it. That scale is zeroed. The thing I like about having these little check weights is you're not zeroing the scale to its own zero. You're actually zeroing it to the check weights that you have. So I'm gonna set them off, or set the pan off. Try to get a little more room to work here. Alright, I just took the pan off. I'm gonna set it back on. Right, there it goes. We'll just see how consistent it returns back to 0. There it is. Reading pretty dang close. I'm trying to not let my breath when I talk go over on there too as well. So anyway, there you have it. That is zeroed actually on 44 grains. So now I'm gonna grab my little latex glove here. I sort of like wearing a glove on the hand that I handle the powder pan with if I'm loading a lot, because, you know, I think the oil's off your hand, or maybe if your hand starts sweating or whatever, I'll notice my hand starting to stick to the powder pan a little bit. And then one day I got to thinking, if there's that much moisture on my fingers, I'm probably leaving some of it on the pan. And, you know, water's kind of heavy, so I started wearing a glove. It's just, you know, it might be a little overkill, but at least, you know I'm not leaving any of my own oils or moisture or anything like that on the pan itself. Okay, this is, let's see, I'm gonna zoom back out here, or try to. You know what? It might actually work better if I were to just hold. Well, no, there might be room here. This is the charge from the Intellidropper. So I'm going to put this, and we'll just go ahead and let it throw another one. And alright, there it is on the beam scale. So as you can see, it's a little light. So what I'm going to do here is first try to get the camera in a little better spot. Let's just see how much lighter it is. So you remember that little, here's the 4895. This stuff's a lot like Varget, really similar in size to that, and H4895. So right here's one kernel. I'm gonna add one kernel at a time to this pan, and I'll show you. We'll see how many kernels light it is between the two. So here we go. One kernel. It just fell in. Here's two kernels. That one just fell in. Here's three. It's coming on up. Here's four. Let's go with five. Here's six. I think one more will get it there. Yep. Right there. So it was about 7 kernels light. Folks, that's probably about 1/10 of a grain or more on this powder. Slightly more. All right, I'm going to dump that one back in the Intellidropper. Now, let's see what the ChargeMaster here, it still reads 44 grains. So let's grab it, bring it over here. Now here it is. Hopefully you can still see that. It actually is probably 1 kernel heavy, I would say. Let's see. Let's take 1 kernel of powder out of it. What do you say? See if I can do that. I did. Look at that. Probably can't see it. Anyway, there's 1 kernel of powder there. Listen. Maybe you probably didn't hear it hit the pan. Anyway, there, I took 1 kernel of powder out. Let's see what the scale does. It's dead on. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more. So that was really close. And I have found this to kind of be the case on the ChargeMaster. So here we're back, Frankford Arsenal Intellidropper. Here we go. Powder's going in. Comes back a little bit light, it looks like. So I'm going to see how many kernels of powder. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 looks like it's going to get it. Yep. So there we go. 4 kernels light that time. That was the Frankford. Right. Meanwhile, the ChargeMaster Lite has another charge for us ready to go here. So here it goes in the pan. And that time it pretty much hit the nail right on the head. Pretty much, yep. So there it is. And from what little I played with the Frankford, it seems like the RCBS may be a little more accurate on the powder charging. Like when it reads, like whatever it is it says is a little bit closer. I'm gonna try to zoom out here a little bit, maybe give y'all a little better view of what's going on. Hopefully I won't knock my tripod over. Okay, let's see. Which one did we do? We just did the RCBS, didn't we? Okay, here's the Frankford. This really makes it a lot easier for me. Alright, hopefully you can still see my computer screen. So, here's the kernels of powder. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 pretty much got it there. So it was 4 kernels light that time. And you know, I mean, that's, you might could set the Frankford Intellidropper to throw a tenth heavy and it might be right according to the beam scale. Okay, here comes the ChargeMaster Lite again. Oh, I hit something on the ChargeMaster there. I'll keep telling it to throw 44. Blah. Looking at it at too much of an angle. Okay, and there you have it again. I mean, that's probably one kernel light. So right here we go, one kernel. Bingo. Dead on the money. So now, how accurate is my beam scale, you may ask? Well, I'm glad you did. So let's get those same 44. Yeah, you can see all this going on here, I think, can't you? Anyway, here's those same check weights. There's 40, 42, 44. Going back on the beam. Let's see if it still reads dead on 44. I bet it'll be awful close. And there you have it. I mean, maybe a tick heavy. Maybe. Less than one kernel from what I see. So, there you go. I'll pick it up, sit it back down. Dead on. Oh, look at that gnat. Gosh, those things have been horrible this year. Pretty much dead on 44 grains. So, you know, all in all, I think probably for me, overall, I believe the ChargeMaster Lite is probably the better of the two. I don't know. It might be a little premature. I'm still going to play with them and, you know, see what I think. But as far as everything all together, you know, you've got the accuracy. Let me move the camera back a little bit more here. With the ChargeMaster, it seems like you've got the accuracy, and yeah, it's a little bit slower, but you know, it's not that bad. As far as the Frankford goes, you know, it's okay. Takes up more room. I don't know if it's that much faster, and the scales definitely don't seem to throw as accurately. So, let's see, there was one kernel, two kernels, 3, 4. I didn't get one. 5. I believe 6 will get it there. 6 kernels light that time. Alright. Let's do the same deal one more time with the ChargeMaster Lite. Notice the ChargeMaster never threw an overcharge. Alright, there's the ChargeMaster Lite. It looks like it's coming up just a little bit light this time. I'd say that's maybe 2 kernels of powder light, maybe. There's 1. And I run out of kernels of powder. So I'm just going to have to steal one from the Frankford here. Yep, there's 1. And it might be 3 light. Let's see. That is just 1. Yep, that's what it needed. It needed 3 kernels. But it's funny, the even using the same check weights for both dispensers, and you know, and zeroing my beam scale out to exactly 44 grains with 44 grains of check weights, the RCBS seems to be closer to the beam scale than the Intellidropper does. So there you have it. Hopefully this has been, you know, not too mind-numbing, but I feel like we've kind of went over all the different aspects, other than draining the powders back out, and that's pretty much exactly the same on both machines. They each have a valve that comes off the side. The RCBS is right there, the big wheel you turn. The Intellidropper is there. That little slot, if you turn it at this point counterclockwise and turn it down, there's a slot in the bottom of that little spout. So they drain pretty much essentially the exact same way. So not too much to see there. But anyway, hopefully you liked the video. Subscribe to my channel. I'm going to try to start putting up some more stuff like reviews of this sort of thing. And hopefully I, do kind of real world and semi consistent tests and whatnot. So thanks again for watching. See ya.